Hey, welcome to Impact Leadership. I'm Brother Jackie, and I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to come and speak to you about some leadership principles. And if you're like me, I'm always looking for that little nugget that will help us just get better and better and better in leadership that makes a positive difference. Last week, we talked about finding the 10 in everybody. And man, I love to do that. I love to talk about that. I hope you put that into practice in your leadership life. And I know what a lot of you may be thinking when you hear that, finding the 10 in everybody. You may think, oh my goodness, Brother Jackie, I want to do that, but what about that conflict that we deal with so often in leadership? And today I want to talk to you about that. How do you deal with conflict in leadership? And just kind of give you a few little thoughts that maybe will help you navigate your leadership to where when you're dealing with conflict, you can come out a winner and it can be a positive thing rather than a negative thing. So there's three things that I know about conflict. First of all, conflict is unavoidable. That is, we're going to have times in our life where, it just happens. It's just there. It's just something we got to deal with, and it's just unavoidable. And then secondly, confrontation is difficult. When you're dealing with conflict and you're thinking, I'm going to have to confront this, it's always difficult as a leader. I don't think there's a lot of people that really enjoy the confrontation part of conflict. So it is difficult. And then thirdly, caring for the person should always precede the confrontation. That is, you've got to keep in mind we're dealing with a person and we ought to care for people. So make sure that before you go into confrontation that you remind yourself you're dealing with a person that has feelings and emotions and opinions and all those things that make leadership what it is. I want to tell you a few things about what not to do first, okay? So let's make sure that we write this, don't do this, okay? So these are the what not to do in handling conflict. First of all, don't try to win at all cost. That is, when you go in this confrontation, don't go in, man, I'm going to win. I'm going to hammer my way through and I'm going to win no matter what. It's kind of like opening the door and throwing the grenade in and blowing everybody up and going, man, I won. Well, no, there's a lot of casualties to that. So we want to make sure that we don't go into conflict with the idea, I'm going to win this at all cost. And then what we don't need to do is pretend that it doesn't exist. That is, this problem is there, and if we pretend it doesn't exist, it's not going to get better. So we have to be realist about conflict. And then the other thing that I want you to really listen to me is when you're having conflict as a leader, don't whine about it. So many people, when they're having conflict, they just whine about it. Just whine about the issue or the person. Don't do that. Don't lower yourself to the place where you become a whiner about conflict. Don't keep score. Don't tally up. Just don't do that. You're not there to keep score to see who's going to win at the end. Don't pull rank. Don't use the idea that, hey, I'm your boss, or you know what, I've been here longer than you have, or I've got more seniority than you, or whatever it may be. Don't pull rank on the person, and then don't white flag it. We don't surrender, just give up. We got to come to a resolution, and that resolution is going to take some effort and energy, and we have to think through these things. So, when you're thinking about conflict, I want to give you some steps now that may help you with confrontation. So these are some things I want you to write down, and just maybe you can pick up a nugget or two in regards to thinking about confrontation and conflict. First of all, pray and ask for guidance. It doesn't hurt when you're thinking about conflict and confrontation to go, God, I need some help with this. I need some wisdom. Pray and ask God to give you some guidance in your leadership of how to deal with it. And then approach the issue, not the person. And listen to me carefully, approach the issue intellectually and not emotionally. If we let our emotions get into the conflict, we'll say a lot of things we regret, and we'll do a lot of things we're going to wish we hadn't have done. So you have to approach the issue. Don't approach the person. What is the issue that we're dealing with? And I believe if you keep the issue in the front of your brain rather than starting to approach the issue based off the person, you're going to do a whole lot better with coming to resolution with the conflict. And then confront only if you care for that person. When you need to go into this confrontation with a real genuine I care about you issue. So make sure you do that. And then the next thing I want to encourage you to do when you're having conflict is meet as soon as possible. Don't let it fester. Barney Fife said we're going to nip it in the bud. And you need to have that leadership mindset that that's what you're going to do. And you need to meet about the conflict as soon as possible. And seek understanding, not necessarily an agreement. Sometimes we can have conflict and not agree, but we can walk away from it with a better understanding. And I think that that's what you need to seek after, is to get a clarity on understanding. And then outline the issue. Make sure that you stay on task dealing with the issue. Don't go into a meeting with someone that you're going to have a confrontation with over a conflict and open it up to a mirage of different things that has nothing to do with what the real issue is. And then encourage a response. When you're dealing with a person about conflict, encourage responses back. Let's talk about this. Let's don't just shut down. I want you to respond to me. Give up that opportunity and agree to an action plan. I believe it's important that if you're going to resolve a conflict, that the people or persons that you're having the conflict with, you need to create an action plan. Maybe you need to say, hey, let's go back together again and let's talk about A, B, and C. But I want you to make sure that you realize that stay with the issue, stay with the issue, stay with the issue. Don't attack the person, deal with the issue, come up and create an action plan. And I'm a firm believer that successful confrontation usually changes both people, not just one. I can't tell you how many times that I've had to deal with conflict and having to confront it and walking out of that situation going, man, you know what, I learned a lot. And it helped me and it structured me and it strengthened me. And so it's important that we realize that confrontation and conflict is just part of leadership. But it doesn't have to be the bomb that sinks the ship. It can be a great thing if it's handled the right way. So I look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Impact Leadership.